amounts to 2 tablespoons. That is 24 grams of fats and oils that we gain in seeds. Now, what type of seeds do you know? One begins with letter S, sunflower. Another S, sim. Another one begins with letter C, then H, chia seed. Then we have nuts. Give me the type of nuts that you know. This is where we find our fats and even our oils. Nuts. Yeah, that one, groundnut. Another one, cashew nut. Another one, macadamia. Another one, coconut. Another one, almond. Another one, butternut. Another one, and all the other nuts. See you? The pine nut, Brazilian nut, cocoa nut, all the other nuts. They give us the 70% of the oils that we give that we need in the brain. Again, there's something important in the nuts that we study in these books. Nuts contain something that we call omega-3, omega-6, omega-9, and omega-12. How many omegas? 4. Omega number 1 is which one? 3. Omega number 2, 6. Omega number 3, 9. Omega number 4, 12. By the way, until a food has the 4 omegas, this is the time that the omegas will be enabled to help the brain. Now, fish, tell your neighbor fish. Tell them fish has omega-3. It is true. Have you told them? Be faithful unto death, my friend. Jesus is coming soon. Tell them fish has omega-3. But tell them, neighbor, I want to tell you some good news. Fish does not have omega-6. It does not have omega-9. And it does not have omega-12. Then tell them this one boldly. Fish does not help the brain to have memory. Because you need the 4 omegas in one component of food for the amino acids to be balanced. Now let's begin connecting the brain and the body. Now for the brain to give signals to the body, God had to create things that we call glands. Say glands. What is the spelling for glands? My people, G, then L, then A, then N, then B, then S, then full stop. Glands. So God had to put different glands in different systems so that the body can receive information from the brain. Then the information is translated. Then the glands, their work is to produce hormones. So the first gland that we have, it is found in the brain, and this is the headquarters for all the hormones in the body. We call it pituitary gland. Say pituitary. Yes, that gland is found in the mouth, in the brain. Sorry. Then this gland will give signals to all the other glands. The first gland in the body is the thyroid gland. Have you heard of people who are suffering from goiter, hyperthyroidism, or hypothyroidism? What is happening? They have a problem with the gland that we call thyroid. Because the thyroid is supposed to receive signals from the brain, then it produces thyroxine. So a deficiency of thyroxine will make a person to have hypothyroidism. Now when the gland is not balanced, it will produce a lot of thyroxine. So we will say this person has goiter or another disease that we call hyperthyroidism. So all the other parts of the body, they are dependent on the brain. Now under the thyroid, we have other glands that we call parathyroid. They work in conjunction with the thyroid. Then after the thyroid, we have another gland on the chest that we call the thymus. Sema thymus. Thymus. Now when the thymus receives instruction from the brain, it will produce thymoxine. Then thymoxine will strengthen the white blood cells. Now by the way, I want to share with you something concerning vaccines. I hear people ask, can one survive without a vaccine? By the way, they can. Ask me why. Ask me why. Ask me why. That question is not loud enough. Why? Ask me why. Why? Say W-H-Y. Now it is because the thymus, when it receives instruction from the brain, when it produces thymoxine, thymoxine activates the white blood cells, then they produce the 5 immunoglobulins. How many? 5. Immunoglobulin number 1, it is G, which is formed in the blood, in the lymph, and in the mucus. Immunoglobulin G. Then it will produce the second antibody that we call immunoglobulin M, which is produced in the blood and in the bone marrow. Then afterwards, the body will give immunoglobulin A. Then it will give B, and it is the antibody immunoglobulin B that deals with all allergies in the body of man. Then it will give the last immunoglobulin that we call immunoglobulin E. Now for the body to have immunity, what happens to the body? When the body comes into contact with any bacteria or virus or pathogen, the body will begin to memorize how to fight that disease. And that is what we call the immune system. So what are they doing when they are giving people vaccines? It is simple. They are taking some molecules of COVID, some molecules of influenza, then they are injecting you so that the body may memorize how to fight that disease. But the same process they are doing, the body can do that process without an injection. Because maybe we can reason together. Before vaccinations came, because the first vaccines were given in the year 1926, how did the body fight the viruses, the protozoas, and the pathogens? It is in the same mechanism. So the problem that we are having in the world is not the vaccines. The problem that we are having in the world is a problem of hormonal imbalance. Because the hormones in the brain are not balanced, our thymus is not able to produce thymoxine. So the immunity of man is weakening and weakening and weakening. So if we want to solve the immunity problem in the world, where do we solve first? It is the brain. So that the thymus may receive an instruction to produce thymoxine. Now the other gland after thymus is what we call the adrenal gland. They are found in the kidney. And the adrenal gland, when they receive information, they produce 2 hormones. One is called cortisol and the other one adrenaline. Now these 2 hormones are the hormones that are responsible for balancing the pressure, the blood pressure of man. The same hormones are the hormones that are responsible for balancing the heartbeat of man and also the metabolism of man. Now I want us to go down with the glands. Then I want to show you something interesting. Now when you leave the kidneys, you go down in the frame of the human body under the kidneys. In between the kidneys and under the kidneys, we have something that we call the stomach. Say the stomach. Now in the stomach, God had to put another gland that we call the pancreas. Now what is the work of the pancreas? What is the work of the pancreas? In your class 6, 7, 8 up. At least motivate the speaker. Isionekane school fees ulitupa. Just motivate me. Yeah, the pancreatic juice, that is a good one. Again, it is in the pancreas that we have insulin. What else? Pepsin. Because food will be digested in the stomach. That is protein through pepsinogen. But the final stage of the digestion of the protein, it takes place in the small intestine. Do you remember? So the pancreas is connected to the small intestine. So if the pancreas will not receive an instruction from the brain, it will not produce insulin. Let us deal with insulin first. When the pancreas will not produce insulin, something will happen. If insulin is not produced, remember, when food is being broken down, it is being broken down into glucose or sugar. And for the cells to survive and for the cells to have energy, they need glucose. So it is glucose which gives energy to the cells. Let me repeat after me. It is glucose that gives energy to what? To the cells. But glucose by itself cannot penetrate into the cells. So it is insulin which will bind the glucose, then it takes the glucose to the cell. So unless you have insulin, glucose cannot penetrate into the cell. So what will happen if I lack insulin? My glucose will remain where? In the blood. So it will be circulating in the blood, in the blood. So my blood will have a lot of sugar. Now I want to teach you to become a doctor in a simple way. So if my blood will have a lot of sugar, how will you call that disease where one has a lot of sugar in his blood? Before you go to diabetes. The sugar is in the blood. Then you come to the medical tent, they take the glucometer, they are measuring your blood. So they find that your blood has a lot of sugar. So the doctor will say, blood plus sugar is equals to blood sugar. The disease is called blood sugar. It is because sugar is in the blood. So the blood is sweet. In fact, a diabetes person, when you cut them, if you can taste their blood, it is sweet. A person with arthritis, if you can cut them and you taste their blood, it is sour because of a lot of acidity. But this one you can try at home. If you want to test yourself, if you have blood sugar or arthritis, it is simple. When you go to the small call, repeat, Mr. Preacher. When you go to the small call, repeat for the last time, Mr. Preacher. When you go to the small call, you can just touch your urine. I've not said you drink. Get me right. Because somebody may say after the camp meetings, that preacher from Machakos, what was he teaching? I've not said drink. I've said touch. Then after touching, taste. If you have blood sugar, by the way, somebody who has diabetes, go and try today. If you taste your urine, by the way, it is sweet. If you have arthritis, if you taste your urine, to taste, not to drink. No, somebody is listening from the kitchen, they will go and drink. That is the danger of not attending meetings. Have you seen the danger? They will drink, but we have said you taste. Now when you taste, a person with diabetes, their urine will be sweet. Now sweet urine in Greek, that is sweet urine in Greek, the name for sweet urine in Greek is mellitus. Say mellitus. you have sweet urine because you have blood sugar. You have a lot of sugar in your blood. So doctors will connect the three principles. They will take blood plus sugar plus sweet urine. So blood sugar in Greek, diabetes. Sweet urine, mellitus. So diabetes plus mellitus is equals to diabetes mellitus. It is easy to understand. So the best way to fight diabetes is to make sure that you have proper signals from the brain to the pancreas. Are you getting the point? So we can conclude by saying that diabetes is both a lifestyle disease and also a disease that is formed through hormonal imbalance. So in treating diabetes, you deal with two things: lifestyle and hormonal imbalance. But do you know that man is suffering from hormonal imbalance? I was reading an article by World Health Organization, and they are indicating that a normal woman, because after the pancreas, we go to the glands that we call the gonads. These glands are found in the reproductive system. In the female gender, we have the ovaries. In the male, we have the men. What do we have? What do we have? Okay, what do we have in the reproductive system? Don't say penis. What do we have? Testes. These are the glands that are responsible for producing sperms. What else? Testosterone. Now, World Health Organization documented something interesting, and they are saying a normal woman whose hormones are balanced, they should begin their menstruation cycle at what age? Do you know at what age? Then I tell you that man has a lot of hormonal imbalance issues. Imagine it is the age of 16 to 18 years. Tell your neighbor 16 to 18. Tell them 16 to 18. Now, in the contemporary world that we live in, when do our children begin their menses? 9. We have 9, we have 10, we have 11. Why? It is because man is suffering from something that we call hormonal imbalance. And this is the reason as to why when Solomon was writing the book of Proverbs, go to Proverbs 4:23. We need to take care of the mind. We need to have a daily intake of seeds, 2 tablespoons daily. Another thing that we need in the mind, even before we read Proverbs, we need essential oils that we call trochotrienols. Trochotrienols. And these oils, they are readily available in the plant-based products. Let me explain. Now, for you to refine wheat, what do you do? For wheat to be refined, what do they remove? What do they remove? What do they remove? They have removed carbohydrates. In fact, that which remains is the carbohydrate. The endosperm is the carbohydrate. Wheat has how many portions? What is the structure of wheat? The anatomy of the seed of wheat. The germ. Thank you, ma'am. And the bran. So they remove the bran and they remove the wheat germ, and it is in the bran and the wheat germ that we have compounds like selenium, we have compounds like zinc, we have compounds like folic acid, and now we have the oils that we call trochotrienols. These are the oils that help the neurons to be replenished. And this is another reason as to why we should be eating whole foods, whole. Brown chapati, brown rice, and you know that ugali that we call number 2. That, by the way, is the one that we need. In fact, the world needs to change that ugali so that it becomes number one. In fact, in the